Chapter 1. Awakening in Shadows. Pain jolted Zhen Yu awake. His body ached as if he'd been run over by a truck, but instead of the familiar sights and sounds of the city, he found himself lying on cold, damp grass beneath twin moons glowing in the sky. The air smelled of earth and iron, and an eerie silence filled the forest around him. This isn't Earth," Zhen Yu whispered, his breath visible in the chill air. He scrambled to his feet, glancing down at his unfamiliar clothing. A tunic of fine silk, trousers tucked into boots, and a strange amulet hanging from his neck. Then, like a flood, memories came rushing back. He was in Shadow Song, a novel he'd read late into the night countless times. But why was he here? And worse, why was he in the body of Iron Verath, a side character who served as nothing more than a footnote, dying early in the story? Before he could process his predicament, a rustling sound nearby sent his heart racing. Figures emerged from the shadows, men clad in dark armor with their faces obscured. "There he is," one of them hissed. "The anomaly." "What do you want?" Zhen Yu stammered, backing away. The leader stepped forward, drawing a blade that glinted under the moon's light. "Eliminate him before he disrupts the balance." Zhen Yu turned to run, but the forest seemed endless, the trees twisting and shifting to trap him. His heart pounded, his breaths ragged. Suddenly the air grew heavy, and a wave of dark energy swept through the clearing. "Enough," a deep voice commanded, freezing everyone in place. From the shadows stepped a man cloaked in black, his silver eyes gleaming like molten metal. Zhen Yu recognized him instantly. Kalian Drethar, Emperor of the Shadow Realm, the most powerful and dangerous man in Shadow Song. Kalian's gaze swept over the assassins, and with a flick of his hand, dark tendrils of energy erupted from the ground, dragging the men into the void. Their screams echoed briefly before silence returned. Zhen Yu's knees buckled. He wanted to feel relief, but Kalian's attention turned to him, his gaze piercing. "And what exactly are you?" Kalian asked, his voice calm but laced with menace. I'm nobody," Zhen Yu stammered, trying to sound convincing. Kalian's lips curved into a cold smile. "A lie, but no matter. You've disrupted the balance merely by existing. And yet—" He tilted his head as if listening to an unseen force. "There's something peculiar about you. A resonance." Before Zhen Yu could protest, Kalian reached out, and dark magic coiled around them both. Pain seared through Zhen Yu's body as Kalian uttered a spell. "The bond is complete," Kalian said, his voice low. "Now you are mine." Chapter 2. A Dangerous Bond. The Imperial Palace of the Shadow Realm was as imposing as Zhen Yu remembered from the novel. Jagged spires reached toward the sky, the walls shimmering with a faint, ominous glow. Zhen Yu barely had time to take it in before being dragged through endless corridors by Kalian's guards. Finally, he was thrown into a lavish chamber with dark marble floors and furniture carved from obsidian. Kalian stood by the window, his gaze distant, as if lost in thought. "I don't understand," Zhen Yu blurted. "Why did you bring me here?" Kalian turned, his expression unreadable. "You intrigue me, Iron Verath. And in my court, intrigue can be both a blessing and a curse." Zhen Yu's stomach sank. He was in over his head. He needed to survive, but Kalian was known for his ruthlessness. "I'm just a nobody," Zhen Yu said, choosing his words carefully. "Why would you care about me?" Kalian's silver eyes seemed to pierce through him. "You're more than you appear. Our souls are bound now. I sense your every thought, your every fear." His voice softened, but it carried an edge of danger. "You cannot lie to me." Zhen Yu's heart raced. The bond was far more invasive than he realized. His thoughts and emotions were no longer his own. In the days that followed, Zhen Yu learned the full extent of Kalian's obsession. The Emperor's protectiveness was suffocating. He assigned guards to Zhen Yu's every move, interrogated anyone who spoke to him, and even began altering court politics to ensure Zhen Yu's safety. Yet there were moments of unexpected tenderness. One night Zhen Yu stumbled upon Kalian in the palace library. The Emperor sat alone, reading a worn book with a wistful expression. "You're awake late," Kalian said without looking up. Zhen Yu hesitated before stepping closer. "Couldn't sleep." Kalian closed the book, his gaze softening. "Do you miss your old life?" The question caught Zhen Yu off guard. For a moment, Kalian wasn't the cold, manipulative ruler. He was just a man carrying the weight of an empire. I don't know, Zhenyu admitted. Everything here feels so overwhelming. Kalian's expression darkened, and he stood, closing the distance between them. You belong here now. The past is irrelevant. Before Zhenyu could respond, the doors burst open. A noblewoman stormed in, her eyes blazing with fury. Your Majesty, why do you coddle this outsider? She demanded. He's a threat to your rule. Kalian's gaze turned icy. With a wave of his hand, the noblewoman collapsed to her knees, gasping for air as dark magic coiled around her. No one questions my decisions, Kalian said, his voice cold as death. Remember that. As the woman was dragged away, Zhenyu realized just how dangerous his situation was. Kalian's obsession wasn't love, it was control, and Zhenyu was trapped in the center of it. Chapter 3. Secrets of the Shadow Realms. The days passed in a haze of tension and unease. Zhenyu became a prisoner in luxury, guarded at every turn by Kalian's watchful eyes or the guards he assigned. Yet despite the suffocating control, Zhenyu couldn't ignore the moments of vulnerability that surfaced in Kalian's presence. One evening, as Zhenyu wandered through the Imperial Gardens under heavy guard, Kalian appeared, dismissing the soldiers with a wave of his hand. The Emperor seemed different, softer. Do you hate me? Kalian asked, his voice low. Zhenyu hesitated, caught off guard. I don't know what I feel, he admitted, but I don't understand why you're so obsessed with me. Kalian's expression darkened, but instead of anger, there was something else. Pain. You wouldn't understand, he murmured. But this bond, it's the only thing keeping me sane. Kalian revealed fragments of his past that night. As the Emperor of the Shadow Realm, he had been betrayed countless times, by friends, allies, and even his family. The soul bond he shared with Zhenyu was the first connection he'd had that wasn't built on lies. Zhenyu couldn't help but feel a pang of pity. He reached out hesitantly, touching Kalian's arm. I'm not your enemy, he said softly. For the first time, Kalian's guard dropped completely. He cupped Zhenyu's face, his silver eyes searching. You're more than that, he whispered, leaning closer. That night their bond deepened, not through magic, but through something more intimate. Kalian's control slipped as their emotions bled into each other, and Zhenyu, caught in the whirlwind of sensation and connection, found himself surrendering to the Emperor. In the days that followed, Zhenyu began noticing strange changes in his body. He felt nauseous in the mornings, his energy waning faster than usual. At first he attributed it to the stress of living in such a dangerous world, but when he fainted during a court gathering, alarm bells rang. Kalian carried him to the palace healer personally, his expression grim. After an examination, the healer knelt before them both. Your Majesty, your consort is carrying your child, the healer announced. Zhenyu's heart stopped. What? Kalian's silver eyes widened, and for the first time Zhenyu saw raw emotion on his face, shock, disbelief, and something that looked like pride. It's impossible, Zhenyu stammered. Men can't… this shouldn't… The healer explained that such pregnancies were rare, but not unheard of in the Shadow Realm, particularly when a soul bond was involved. The magic of their connection had created the conditions for new life. Kalian dismissed the healer, his expression unreadable as he turned to Zhenyu. Why didn't you tell me? Kalian asked, his voice low but laced with accusation. I didn't know, Zhenyu snapped. And even if I did, you think I'd be thrilled to bring a child into this mess of a world? Kalian's gaze hardened, but instead of anger, there was something almost protective in his stance. This child is ours, he said firmly, and I'll destroy anyone who dares to threaten you or them. Chapter 4. The Prophecy Unveiled. Despite Kalian's reassurances, Zhenyu couldn't shake the unease that settled over him. He had read Shadow Song. He knew that every step Kalian took was shadowed by betrayal, danger, and bloodshed. What kind of life could their child have in such a world? Determined to find answers, Zhenyu began researching the ancient texts in the palace library. The more he read, the clearer it became. Their child was no ordinary baby. A prophecy spoke of a child born of a soul-bonded pair, destined to bring unity or destruction to the Shadow Realm. Zhenyu's blood ran cold. He needed to tell Kalian, but how could he trust the Emperor to react rationally? Before he could decide, an attack rocked the palace. Shadows beasts, monstrous creatures created by forbidden magic, tore through the halls, their screeches echoing like nightmares. Zhenyu barely managed to defend himself with the small amount of magic he had learned since arriving. Kalian appeared in the chaos, his face a mask of fury. With a wave of his hand, he annihilated the creatures, the force of his power shaking the ground. When the battle was over, Kalian stormed to Zhenyu's side. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine," Zhenyu said, though his hands were shaking. Kalian's gaze softened briefly before hardening again. "This is why you must stay by my side. The world will always try to take what's mine." Zhenyu clenched his fists. "I'm not just yours, Kalian. I'm a person. And this child is a person, not a weapon for you to use." Kalian froze, his expression unreadable. "What are you talking about?" Zhenyu took a deep breath, then told him everything. The prophecy, the dangers their child might face, and his fears about what Kalian would do to protect his throne. For a moment, Kalian said nothing. Then he stepped closer, his voice quieter than Zhenyu had ever heard it. "I won't let fate decide this," he said. "I won't let you or our child be pawns in anyone's game, not even Destiny's." Zhenyu wanted to believe him, but the weight of the prophecy loomed heavy between them. As Kalian pulled him close, whispering promises of protection, Zhenyu could only hope that their love was strong enough to defy the shadows. Chapter 5. Love and War. The palace erupted into chaos as word of the prophecy spread. Factions that had long simmered in the shadows now rose against Kalian, claiming Zhenyu and the unborn child were threats to the realm's balance. Whispers of rebellion turned into open attacks, and the imperial palace became a battlefield. Zhenyu watched helplessly as Kalian commanded his forces with unmatched power. The man who had once appeared cold and manipulative now fought like a demon, his only goal to protect Zhenyu and their child. Yet the strain of the bond between them grew heavier with each passing day. "Why don't you let me help?" Zhenyu demanded after another skirmish. Kalian, bloodied but unbowed, turned to him, his silver eyes blazing. "Because you're carrying the future of this realm. You're more important than anything else." "That's not fair," Zhenyu argued, his voice cracking. "I'm not just some vessel, Kalian. I'm your partner. Or at least I thought I was." Kalian's expression softened, and he stepped closer, cupping Zhenyu's face with his battle-scarred hands. "You are my partner," he said quietly, "but if anything happened to you or our child, I wouldn't survive it." For the first time, Zhenyu saw the full weight of Kalian's love, not just possessive, but raw and consuming. He couldn't deny the pull he felt toward the Emperor, even as he wrestled with his fears. The turning point came when the rebels launched a full-scale assault on the palace, their magic tearing through the wards. Zhenyu, despite Kalian's protests, joined the fight, his determination fueled by the bond between them. The battle was brutal. Zhenyu discovered a depth of magic he hadn't known he possessed, using it to shield Kalian from a deadly attack. Together, their combined magic created a storm of energy that obliterated the enemy forces, leaving the palace in ruins, but the rebellion crushed. In the aftermath, Kalian collapsed from exhaustion, and Zhenyu cradled him in his arms, tears streaming down his face. "Don't you dare leave me," he whispered. "We're in this together, remember?" Kalian's eyes fluttered open, and he gave a faint smile. "Together," he murmured, before succumbing to unconsciousness. Chapter 6. A New Dawn. Weeks passed as the palace rebuilt, the scars of battle slowly fading. Zhenyu remained at Kalian's side, refusing to leave him even as he recovered. The bond between them grew stronger, not from magic but from mutual trust and love forged in the crucible of war. The day of the child's birth came under a rare celestial event, the alignment of the twin moons. Zhenyu, surrounded by healers and Kalian's protective presence, gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The child's aura was unlike anything the realm had ever seen, a shimmering mix of light and shadow, signifying a balance that had never existed before. Kalian held the child in his arms, his expression softer than Zhenyu had ever seen. "He's perfect," Kalian whispered, his voice trembling, "just like you." Zhenyu laughed through tears. "He's stubborn like you." I could feel it the whole time. News of the child's birth spread across the realm, silencing dissent and inspiring hope. The prophecy, once a source of fear, was reinterpreted as a sign of unity. Kalian worked tirelessly to rebuild trust among the factions, using their child as a symbol of reconciliation. Zhenyu found himself growing into his role as the Emperor's consort, no longer the frightened outsider but a leader in his own right. He often teased Kalian about his possessiveness, but deep down he knew that their bond was unbreakable. Years later, as they stood together on the palace balcony, watching their son play in the gardens below, Zhenyu leaned into Kalian's embrace. "Do you ever regret it?" Zhenyu asked softly, "binding your soul to mine?" Kalian pressed a kiss to his temple. "Never. You saved me, Zhenyu. And you gave me a reason to hope again." Zhenyu smiled, his heart full as he looked out at the realm they had fought to protect. The shadows that once loomed over their lives had given way to light, and for the first time he felt truly at peace.